Hello. In this video, we're going to be going over the consumer experience for Order with Google, formerly known as GFO, and how things that are set up on your DeliverLogic, RDS Logic backend manifest themselves over here on the consumer side of things. So typically a consumer, the way they would use Order with Google is they will go to Google's search engine, either on their desktop or from their phone, and they're probably going to Google the name of the restaurant that they're interested in. When they do that, they'll get probably many different results. And over here, this rectangle is what's called the Google business listing. And this is where they would start off to begin to place an order from that particular restaurant. This Google business listing is actually something that the restaurant itself has control over. DeliverLogic, we have nothing to do with what shows up here. Usually, most businesses do decide to create their own Google account, and that gives them access to update all the things that you see here in this rectangle, including, address, phone number, hours of operation, and even links here. So as you can see here, this restaurant has put one of our links on their Google business listing. So the consumer, though, they'll probably won't pay much attention to that. They're going to go straight to this bright blue Order Online button. And if we click this, we get taken to an ordering page. And as you see here, Active Menus is the first option that's available. Active Menus is a sub-brand of DeliverLogic. This is the branding that we have chosen to give Google to display for any restaurant that is on our platform, and therefore any restaurant that would be your partner as the RDS will also display an Active Menus card here. If you are a partner with a restaurant and you see Active Menus is here, then you know that their Order with Google integration is working properly, that it is actually turned on and working for your business. So from here, the consumer will be able to scroll down and they'll see the menu for that particular restaurant, and they'll be able to start building a cart. This is the exact same menu that shows that you have built or you have imported or have attached in your RDS Logic backend. So anytime you make any changes in those menus in your backend, they will populate here on Order with Google automatically. There's nothing special you need to do there. It is important to note that it does sometimes take hours for Google to update, usually anywhere between 3 to 6 hours. Sometimes it can take up to a day, so keep that in mind. If you're doing any menu changes, it's recommended to do it at the end of the day when your service is over, so that the updates have the full overnight time period to take place. But as you can see, this menu is looking great. We get all the pictures, exactly how you have it in your RDS Logic backend. So before we move on from this page, there is one other thing I want to point out here. And of course, that's these other cards you might see that show up on this ordering page. So anytime you see a symbol like this, the square with the arrow pointing out, you will know that this particular card is actually a hyperlink. Meaning if I click this or the consumer clicks this, it's going to take me away from this ordering page and out to a separate website where I'll probably have to either log in or create an account. It's not a great consumer experience. Most of the time, the consumers don't even bother with these. The actual Order with Google connection and integration is always going to be first. So in this case, it's Active Menus. We have a true Order with Google integration, and we are first here. And it is pre-selected, it's pre-clicked. The consumer doesn't have to worry about clicking on anything. They can go straight away to begin their order. We don't have any control over what shows up here. This is sort of something that Google does on their own. They scrape the internet for any website that will have the menu for whatever restaurant it is, and then they put that link here. Of course, Google is a search engine, and their main goal is to provide as many options for the consumer as possible, and they do that in this situation by, of course, adding hyperlinks here. Again, nothing we can really do about it. The restaurant owner, though, they can submit requests to Google to get these removed. It is a bit of a process, but they can do that if they want. So that's that. And then as a consumer, of course, I built my cart. Now I have this checkout button here. This is just where I will go to. If I don't have a Google account already, I will put in my address, put in my credit card, things like that. I do want to point out that any enforced tip does not flow through to Google. It will take your gratuity suggestions, but it will not honor forced gratuity. Google also does not any of your additional charges in that additional charges tab on the locational level do not flow through to Google, as you can see here when I get to the checkout page, this breakdown of the order. This service fee that's here is actually your order with Google service fee that we'll get into a little bit later. But if you have an additional charges set up, maybe for certain restaurants or certain things like credit card or maybe a bag charge, things like that, they do not flow through to Google. So that's important to keep in mind. However, most things do. So as far as menu markups, your delivery fees, any of like your commissions, of course, all that stuff does work as intended and flows through to Google. All right, so moving on. I have another example to show you of how Order with Google might look with some different things going on with their setup. So again, I have Googled a restaurant. We see the typical results here of my search, and of course the restaurant's Google business listing, which is this rectangle here. Now when I click this order online button, I come to a page that's pretty empty. So, Google did put a hyperlink here, as we can see with this symbol that I just talked about. But there's no actual direct Order with Google integration here. The consumer cannot order from this page. They can't build a cart. They can't check out. So there's two things that could have happened and made it so that it shows up like this. One is just the restaurant is not working with any delivery service that has an Order with Google connection. The second thing is the restaurant can actually go into their Google business listing admin, the admin side of things that gives them access to updating and changing any of this information. And they can actually opt out of accepting orders through Order with Google. And that is actually what happened for this particular restaurant. They have opted out. They do work with an RDS, but they have chosen not to accept food orders with Google, and so we do not see active menus showing up here. Now, I do have a filter that Google has given me, and I am able to run restaurants' names and addresses through that filter to be able to tell you, the RDS, if the restaurant has opted out or not. So what we usually recommend is when we first enable you for Order with Google, give everything a day or so to update, and then go ahead and Google your restaurant. Start looking at their actual Google pages. Click on this button. Make sure you see active menus there with your with your menu that you put showing. And if you see any that come that still show like this, get them all compiled, submit a ticket with the restaurants' names and addresses, and we can, on our side, put those through the Google filter and let you know if the restaurants have opted out or not. We'll share that information with you, and then you can go ahead and reach out to those particular restaurants, let them know that you have this new connection with Google, that you will be powering all the orders that come through Order with Google. And that way your restaurant partner can go ahead and opt back in on their side. They can turn it back on, and that will cause active menus to pop up here and give the consumer that option again. So that is it for this first part for the consumer experience. You will now go ahead and answer those questions and move on through the rest of the course. Thank you.